definitely growing together.
A great win tonight. You're going to enjoy it, but when do you start thinking about Bella Allery and Alea Parker for next weekend?
That starts right now.
Okay.
We don't really have days off. We might have days off the court, but mentally we're still locked in. We're getting ready for these next 2 games.
And one more, you said?
No.
All right, thanks a lot, Sam. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, guys. All right, you guys will get changed. Good job, ladies.
Thank you. Good job, Coach.
Thanks, Jay. All right, what do you guys got?
Coach, in the second half, Cornell made their big runs.
Yeah.
Cutting a 14-point lead to as little as 1 point, and they really started applying that full court pressure.
Yeah.
Obviously you guys prepared for close to everything as possible, but when they are throwing those kind of plans at you in terms of the press and jumping passes, what do you do, especially for, once again, a young team? What do you do to calm them down and to get them to remember what you have to do in order to win this game?
Yeah, I try to keep them as cool as possible. They need to have concise, direct comments. And that's the one thing that we've been really trying to work on as a staff, is just making sure they know exactly what they should be thinking. And sometimes that is, hey, don't do that, or this is not the read. But for the most part, it's just trying to help them see the next play, especially in a game. You're in practice, you can correct as much as you want, but in a game, you're really just trying to get them focused and stay positive for what the next decision they're going to make. So for us, it's just keeping that in their heads and helping them understand the reads. We always say you got to have a plan, especially against the press or zone, before you catch the ball.
And with conference play being, a big highlight for this part of the season, a lot of people still talk about conference play and, of course, the big tournament. How do you keep your staff and these players on track in terms of keeping it one game at a time, regardless of the possibilities that do exist of making this run and making a big tournament?
Well, I think the most important thing is that you can't get too far ahead of yourself. You lose your Ivy opener, for instance. We're at Cornell. To me, it's about every day. That's the value of what practice and how important it is that if you can make practices as game-like or as feel as game-like as possible, they're going to be locked into the moment. And for us, being so young, I think that's one thing that this group does well, is that they can't think that far ahead. I don't think they have any idea how long the season is. So for us, it's really just making sure that they understand the value of what we do every day and the quality of our work, so that we build good habits and we're ready for those moments. No matter if it's Penn, Princeton, Cornell, or Brown. So we just got to make sure we stay focused on the day.
And just to follow that, there's also this, I guess it's during certain parts of the season, people just talk about either taking a step back, taking a step up, or really just the breakthrough. And it just really feels like over the course of the season, especially the last month, you guys have been waiting at that breakthrough. A lot of these games are literally going down to the final shot, the final possession. Even though those moments are tough to go through because they're ending up in losses, does it still give you a lot of optimism about this team, knowing that, hey, we are in this all the way till the end, and that we're going to have a breakthrough at some point?
Absolutely. I think that's exactly it. You have to find chemistry. Chemistry doesn't just happen. And this is something this team has worked long and hard for. But at the same time, I don't think that the loss is really easy to just be like, oh, we lost again, but like you said, it's every game we've been in. We haven't been out of one game we played this year, no matter who it was, with the exception of maybe Fordham. And that's a good team. I think that's a tournament team. And so for us, to be able to schedule the way that we do and have them see the success, I think it's huge for them now to be able to reap some benefits, but know that we're going to meet those moments again. And having those close games only prepares us for the future close games that we're going to have. We're going to know how to stick together. We're going to know how to pull out wins like tonight.
Seems like one game it'll be Sienna, another game it's Riley, another game it's Janiya, Lilian. You have somebody different stepping up. It's not just your one player. How much of a benefit is that as a coach to have different players who can step up and fill that void and come out and perform like Lilian or something?
Everybody that's seen Columbia basketball play my first 2 years knew what to expect. And I think this year it's fantastic. It's fun. And that's the beauty of having a great staff. They've recruited their tails off. We've got players here that we think are going to be really special. And the fruits of what they've done and then translating it and making sure that we're developing in the right way, that's why you're seeing all these kids step up. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun because we don't know. It's kind of like, all right, whose turn is it tonight? And you have a player like Madison Hardy who comes off and has many double-digit games. I always tell her, you're getting slighted on these Rookie of the Weeks because you play with two other freshmen that start, Lilian, and then she's battling against them every day, her teammates. But it's really neat to be able to have so many weapons.
Can you talk a little bit about how important this week was of preparation? It's kind of an interesting schedule in that, like, you play them twice, but then a week apart. What was the biggest change this week in terms of preparation, like that what they threw at you? I know you mentioned rebounding, so maybe talk a little bit about that.
Not obsessing on them. I think that's the hardest thing. In this 2-week span, you can obsess on Cornell. I'm sure they obsessed on us. The main thing is that we still have to do what we do well and get back to like defensive principles. So I think this week was all about keeping it shorter, keeping it more intense, making sure that they knew exactly the 3 things that we needed to do on defense. And then it was like, all right, let's have some fun. Let's keep it light. Let's make sure you get the extra shots you need and just really work on them as players and focus on us a little bit more. So we just tried to keep everything a little bit shorter, like I said, a little more intense.
Coming out of the half, what did Cornell do defensively that threw you all off?
Well, we didn't hit our first couple shots, or we hit one shot. I think we went to the free throw line, right? So after that, like, it's not really like a field goal make, where you're like, okay, we're juiced up, we're like 5 and we're running back on D. We just never had that moment where we like connected after a big score, a big play. And so defensively, we've been telling them that's where you get those moments. That's where you find those moments. And Cornell, I thought, did a great job of, they were crashing. I think they had like 6 O-boards, and they doubled their first half within the first media. I was like, all right. And we knew that was going to happen. However, now they have nothing to lose. They're coming out, and they were playing to win. I tip my hat to them. I think Dana's a great coach. And they're experienced. They play all juniors. And, they have a senior that comes off the bench. So it's a little bit different of a team. They just knew and had the confidence to withstand our run initially. So, but the main thing is we were able to combat that at some point. As long as that happens, we never really let them get the full momentum. And that was big.
Yeah. 2 big moments I want to ask about. The first is when Riley finally got that 3 to go. And then the second is when Lilian got that offensive rebound on one end, put it back, and then took a charge right on the other end. And basically a back-to-back sequence, maybe 10, 15 seconds apart. Can you talk about both of those, how important they were, obviously, in the span of the game?
Riley has grown so much as a player. I'm so proud of her for having this confidence in herself right now and just like in what we're doing. That's the beauty of having her all last year, right? Play 30 minutes a game, and she knows how I think. And so for Riley, she knows that I'm like, hey, you just gotta make sure you get some legs under that shot. Like one's gonna fall, but they're gonna still fly out at you. If you miss 15, they're still flying out at you. So I thought she did a really nice job of getting into the paint and being shot ready, right? And so I think that was huge, is because she stayed confident, even though she was in this little bit of a shooting like, I'm short, but they were great looks. I wouldn't tell her to take any of those back. And I think Lil, a player like that, Lilian's such a solid defender. To be a freshman and to be communicating and like directing traffic the way she does, that's really special. I haven't seen a kid do that in years. And, I think for her, we just try to keep it really simple. Like, this is what you're doing, and then everything else is a bonus. But you got to do these things. You got to make sure that you're talking every time. You have to make contacts and checks. You've got to make sure that you relocate when people drive or shoot. And I think that was a product of that play. She did all those 3 things that led to that back-to-back sequence.
Last year, after the Cornell game, we were in this room and you were saying that you were looking for leadership from the players, what you and the coaching staff were doing, but no one seemed to be stepping up. It's a year later. Where do you think things stand?
I think we're in a much better place. My hope was that, and now that it is true, I don't have eyes at the bench anymore. Like, there's not everybody's like, Coach, what do we do? Coach, what do we do? And I've said that to them from the very beginning. Player-led teams are way more successful than coach-led teams. We're still going to be their coaches, but at the end of the day, for them to be able to make decisions on the floor in real time is what makes us good. And I thought that Riley, Michaela, even Janiya, they did that today. And to have those 3 be able to play well together, it only builds the confidence of our other young players.
After that third quarter that Cornell had, it seemed to harken back from the first half of last week's game. What was said during the break before you headed into the fourth quarter? Was it you guys talking as the coaches? Was it the players stepping up and taking control at that point?
I think it was a little bit of both. We always give them their time before we go to a huddle, unless it's like a time-sensitive thing. And what Janiya has done really well this year as our captain is to start picking up the language that we're using. Like, we need 2 minutes. These 2 minutes. She checks everybody in. They all say lock in, and if you see her during the game, she's doing that too. So I think for her to make sure that everybody's focus like shifts right back to like, okay, team focus versus, I just missed the block out. Everybody's in their own head. So then when we come to the huddle, it's just I'm trying to keep it light, forward thinking, and then like I said, the teaching happens tomorrow. The teaching happens in film, right? with a young group, you can't dwell on those things as much. It's just making sure they know exactly what they need to do when we step back on the court.
All set, guys?
Thank you, Coach.